is his attempts at self-definition and self-improvement. In other words, I think he's self-reflective. He, upon the moment of seeing his own image in the pool, which is a bit like the mirror image we always have of ourselves. And what is different is that we tend to see ourselves as beautiful. We tend to idealize our own image and project a more beautiful image than what we really are. Okay, but unfortunately, this monster, he sees a very ugly image of himself. And that's why he has this lament or questions about who he is. Okay, this is on page 120, the end of chapter 13. And what was I? Of my creation and creator, I was absolutely ignorant. But I knew that I possessed no money, no friend, no kind of property. I was, besides, endued with a figure hideously deformed and loathsome. I was not even of the same nature as men. I was more agile than they, and could subsist on the coarser diet. I bore the extreme of heat and cold with less injury to my frame. My stature far exceeded theirs, etc. So here, this is a process of self-definition. He's able to compare and see how he is different from the others. Okay, and then this another. I think this is the next paragraph. It shows again the sophistication or complexity of his thinking, because he keeps thinking about his own identity, and then he describes the nature of knowledge. Okay. Oh, what a strange nature is knowledge! It clings to the mind when it was once seized upon. It has seized on it like a lichen on the rock. Okay, so I think this is a really good description of obsessive thoughts. Sometimes when you are preoccupied by something, then the ideas becomes like lichen clinging to your mind, and then you couldn't let go of it. I wish sometimes to shake off all thought and feeling, but I learned that there was but one means to overcome the sensation of pain, and that was death. Okay, and this again is a very sophisticated idea, being keenly aware of his existence, feeling the sense of pain and everything, and then knowing that the only way to terminate these thoughts and sensations, is to die, in a state which I fear yet did not understand. I admire virtue and good feelings and love the gentle manners and amiable qualities of my cottagers, but I was shut out from intercourse with them. Okay, so all in all, it shows how this monster, has good nature, good thinking abilities, good learning abilities, but he's awfully lonely, awfully isolated from the others. Okay, and to summarize, before I move on to his attempts at reading, I would like to summarize the process of the monster's growth as a human. And I think that in Chinese we say 衣食足而知荣辱. Okay, and I think in a way maybe it is true. We need to be well fed, and we need to have a place to live and to act before we further develop our self-esteem, our sense of self-identity, and also before we achieve the other status in society. So this is the kind of pyramid that Maslow describes of our needs. That most basically we have our physical needs or physiological needs. Okay, this is on the bottom. The need of breathing, food, the need for food, for drink, for shelter, for warmth, for relief from pain. Okay, the kind of person I admire the most is how some people can maintain their quality of thinking or their sense of dignity when they are in great pain or when they are in constant great pain. In our society, actually, there are people who suffer from diseases which make them always feeling pain, all the time. but then they can still be smiling, or they can still teach or work or write books. I forgot. There is a physician who wrote some really important theories, but he's completely immobile, and he cannot even write. Maybe some of you must know him. He's a very famous physician. I think nowadays he cannot move his hand even, so he speaks, and then the computer uses his sound wave to transcribe. 你们知道是谁吗？ Yeah, Hawking. Yeah, the first name. Okay, yeah, Hawking is one, and also anyway, you know that after we realize this pyramid, this hierarchy of needs, then those people who can try to ignore the basic physiological needs and still achieve some human and cultural works, I think they are especially admirable. Okay, so the physiological needs first: safety, security, and then social needs for social affiliation, sociality and affiliation, need for friendship and interaction with others, and then self-esteem and self-actualization. This is usually a kind of hierarchy that we go by, in terms of expressing our needs and seeing which is more important than which others. It doesn't mean that the physiological needs is always the most important, but it is a basis. You need to feel satisfied to a certain extent before you have the space and have the energy to express your other needs and get them satisfied likewise. Okay, so the top one is self-actualization, and considering the fact that the monster lacks social interactions, the monster does not have self-esteem either. His attempts at self-actualization, improving himself, can be seen as admirable. Okay, so to talk about his way of improving himself, the one thing he always has is hope. Ability to maintain hope. Here on page 131. Okay, this is when besides the use of the terms from the images from Paradise Lost, he also talks about how he make plans to approach them. Let me see where it is. Oh, the first complete paragraph. The last 6 lines. The increase of knowledge only discovered to me more clearly what a wretched outcast I was. I cherished hope, it is true, but it vanished. And when I beheld my person reflected in water, or my shadow in the moonshine, even as the frail image that in constant shade. So this is how he goes back and forth. How he keeps hope, but then the moment he thinks of his own image, the hope vanishes. Okay, and then but then he continues to make plan to approach them, and the way he does it is to try to approach the old man first, because he saw that he's blind, and maybe he will be more open to him. And indeed, let me wait a bit before I talk about the books. And indeed, in the episode where the monster talks to the old man is very sympathetic, and that I think again helps us question how our visual recognition of a person can be erroneous, can be problematic. You know, Felix and Agatha faints the moment she sees the monster, and Felix wants to attack him because the moment they see how ugly he is, they assume that he is villainous. But then the old man, just listening to the song, the voice and his talk, is all receptive. Let's take a look on page 134. As a matter of fact, the people the monster approaches are actually all marginalized. They are all not really the people in the power center. They are all marginalized in one way or another. For instance, the Lacy family, later I'll summarize their story, but they are exiled. They are exiled from France. And here, the second to last paragraph on page 134, this is the end of chapter 15. Yeah, the old man, maybe 4 paragraphs from the end. The old man, just listening to the sound, he said, I'm blind and cannot judge your countenance, but there is something in your words which persuades me that you are sincere. I am poor and an exile, but it will afford me true pleasure to be in any way serviceable to a human creature. You know, this is actually very ironic because the old man, just listening to the sound, is convinced that the monster is sincere. But then those who can see him do not think so. And then but the old man said that it will be a true pleasure to me to be serviceable to a human creature. And later they refuse to associate themselves with him because they don't see him as human. And what is very sad is that the Lacy family, they even give up on the house, on the cottage, you know, with all the vegetables they plant there, the garden. They give up on the whole cottage just to escape from this monster because they think that the monster is an important threat to the father, to this old man. You know, so all of this is very ironic. Also, the fact that this old man, he keeps saying that he is an exile, he is unfortunate. So supposedly people who are in misfortune, you know, should be more sympathetic with the other people in a similar situation. But it's just too sad that they don't even get to talk. They don't even get to talk to each other. You know, the moment Felix sees him, he drives the monster away. Okay, so this is the first frustrated attempt by the monster. And after this, he is filled with anger and hatred of human beings. But as we will see later, it doesn't really make him a revengeful person once and for all. You know, there are still a lot of moments where he tries to help the other humans, but then he is always disappointed. Okay. About the reading, I think this is something we have talked about, and that is he's ardent in reading, in learning language, and also in reading, and this can make the monster a parallel to Frankenstein, or also to Walter in the beginning, because all the 3 guys here, they are an eager and passionate pursuer of knowledge, but in different ways and for different purposes. Okay, so that's something you can compare. Here, for instance, he learns from the sorrow of Walter, maybe a kind of romantic melancholy, which was popular then. Okay, let me read it. This is on page 128. You know, why don't you just look for it yourself? I learned from Walter's imagination despondency and gloom, but Plutarch taught me high thoughts. He elevated me above the wretched sphere of my own reflections to admire and love the heroes of past ages. So here there is this combination of the romantic melancholy, romantic sentimentalism, and individualism on the one hand, and the ideals of hero, power, and social status on the other hand. So these are the two models for the monster. And then the most important model, and that is paradise lost. And this part we have talked about, so let me skip it. Yes, we can skip this. Wait. Yeah, maybe we can even say that his need of a mate, comes from his reading of Paradise Lost, because here, this is on page 131. He says that it was all a dream. No Eve soothes my sorrows, nor share my thoughts, etc. Okay, so let me quickly skip this part. And then about how the monster gets rejected by different people who are on the margins of society. Okay, about the lazy, I think that the lazy story can be seen as a parallel to the story of Justine. Okay, or later on, you will get to see. I'm not sure if I should say this. Anyway, I've said it already. Later on, you'll get to see Frankenstein's being accused of when Clerval, sorry, this is a typo. Clerval is murdered. Okay, so there are different episodes here showing that the society lacks justice. Okay, and Frankenstein the monster can be wrong, just as Justine can be wrong, and Frankenstein later can also be wrong, and then they can be arrested and put in prison. The laziest problem is that I think Felix wants to rescue the Turkish lord who was put in prison, but then this get them, the whole family, in prison. On the other hand, the Turkish lord turns around to accuse Felix to stay away from Felix, and then also to take Sophie away. So in other words, the Turkish lord. Let me show you where it is. Okay, on page 125. Page 125. This is where the government of France accuses Felix of trying to rescue the Turkish lord, and then the first complete paragraph. The plot of Felix was quickly discovered, and the lazy and Agatha was thrown in prison. Okay, but then unfortunately, the last let me see. Yeah, Felix tries to rescue the lazy and Agatha, but he didn't succeed, and that get all of them exiled. And then the next paragraph. They found a miserable asylum in a cottage of Germany. And Felix soon learned that the treacherous Turk, for whom he and his family endured such unheard of oppression, on discovering that his deliverer was thus reduced to poverty and ruin, became a traitor to good feeling and honor. And then he left for Italy with Sophie. So in other words, there are people who are loyal to their friends, like Clerval, Frankenstein, at some point, and also Felix. But then there are also moments when Frankenstein betrayed the monster, or the other people, like the Turk, betrays the Lacy family. So that's why I think the issue of justice and betrayal is an important one throughout the whole novel. And here, one important point about the story within the story of the Lacy family is that it is, in a way, a parallel to the other stories of the lack of justice. But then, on the other hand, what is very special is the role of Sophie and the Turk, because they are Arabian. They are Arabian. In other words, they are non-Christian. They are supposed to be non-Christian. But it's interesting that in the description, Sophie is seen as a Christian Arab. I guess this is actually an example, unintended, maybe unintended by Mary Shelley, an example of Orientalism. You know, on the one hand, Mary Shelley wants to use the Lacy family to talk about like political treason, injustice, etc. But on the other hand, accidentally, she reveals her discrimination against the Arabian or Muslims, just as Yu Tian and Li Yaping very obnoxiously reveal their discrimination, their prejudices too. Okay, and so Sophie is the only redeemable one out of this Muslim family because she's Christian. And then, although her father wants to take her away, she does not want to go back to the Muslim world. So she escaped and then joined the Lacy family there. Okay, so this story of the Lacy exile is interesting in different ways. Okay, interesting because it shows how the marginalized people can also discriminate against the monster who is further marginalized. Interesting because of the theme of justice, and also interesting because of the issue of Orientalism. Okay.